their neighbors, etc., etc. So there you are.
Yeah, this is a related question, which you may also answer similarly. But did you ever try for a role that you didn't get, that you wanted?
Did I ever try for a role that I didn't get? Yes. Yes, I have tried for a role that I didn't get, and I don't remember what it was.
All right. A question about your first autobiography, This Life.
Yes.
Were you hesitant about revealing personal details about your life that might hurt the positive image you had cultivated in your films, or were you in fact aiming to show more of yourself to counteract the impression given in your films that you were, as some people have called you, a saint, a black saint?
Well, I don't mind being a black saint. Don't knock that.
Okay, all right.
Kidding, in case there's some newspaper people in the room.
Oh. I don't think there are any journalists, no.
Let's repeat the question, please.
I just wanted to know, the language you use, some of the episodes of your life that you share, were you mindful or concerned about the different Sidney Poitier that it would reveal, as opposed to the silver screen role model which you had cultivated?
Yeah. Well, there's only one part of me that is of value, really, and that is how I live my life. I have to be the captain of my ship. That's what I learned from my dad. And I have a set of values which my life is conducted. There are things I will do and there are things I will not do. And as far as the book is concerned, the book, as you noted, was called This Life. And I named it This Life because I wanted... Let me start again. There was a time in my career when I was doing quite well, and some people, writers, thought it a good idea that this new kid, this Sidney Poitier person, has done some very unusual movies, and maybe a book about him would be interesting for them. Well, they had the right to write about me because my life was public, And before you know it, 6 books or so had been written by people I had never met. I read them and I was offended by them because much of it was untrue, and much of them were true, and I just felt it was so far away from my value. And I had to make some corrections. So I decided to write my autobiography, and I did. In having written this, I knew what I had said. I said, this is who I am. This is what I was at point A.
Let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about some historical great men that you have been associated with. What was the most important lesson you would say you learned from your time with Paul Robeson?
The most important lesson, I don't know if it's a lesson. Paul Robeson was a remarkable person. Quite a remarkable person. I mean, he was fluent in a great number of languages. He was I don't know what the word is, cum laude or whatever the hell it is. Was brilliant intellectually. He was a great athlete. He was a great singer. He was a wonderful actor. He was all kinds of remarkable things. And he saw himself in a certain way. And that way was especially clear to the younger people of such democracy as existed in our country. And I agreed with that. So did the guys that I hung out with, like Belafonte and many of the younger guys in the business, because he was fundamentally in the business, because he did Othello on Broadway, and he made movies, stuff like that, before I came along. Anyway, he was quite a remarkable man, and I got to know him quite well and respected him.
Another question about a historical figure. You and Harry Belafonte and others had worked alongside Dr. King for many years. What was the impact of his murder on you personally? How did it affect your outlook on race relations and democracy in America?
Oh boy, you do come up with some hard ones, don't you? The impact on me was precisely as you would expect, as to race relations and democracy. He forced American democracy to be better than ever it was. He and his views and his values, his sense of humanity, were his number one goal. He concentrated on that. Of course, we all know the history. Because of the young students in America who were not allowed to sit at a lunch counter and order a sandwich or a cup of tea in department stores in the South. And those were the people, the most courageous people in the black community were the youngsters, the young people who were 18 and 20 and 22, 23 and stuff like that, who decided that they could not permit their lives to come and go in a culture that did not recognize their humanity. And it was through their efforts at colleges and sit-in counters and stuff like that that inspired Dr. King. And Dr. King, in turn, inspired others. And that's how it went. That's how it became. That's how it went. And you know, I stand certainly in an America that is vastly different than it ever was. And it was because those youngsters inspired some of their elders, and the youngsters and some of their elders inspired Martin Luther King, who inspired yet another group of guys and girls who felt comfortable in making it known that they had values by which they will conduct themselves in the future and will not allow those values to be superimposed on them. And there you have the whole flourishing, I think, in a short strokes, of what happened with Dr. King and who he was and why he stepped to the forefront and gave his life